Hello fellow Megatenists and welcome to Niche Game Trivia. Today I'm going to tell you why I love Jack Bros. And also I'm going to tell you some trivia about Jack Bros. I've had a weird amount of pushback as to why Jack Bros remains one of my favorite Megaten titles, so I decided to do a little bit of a hybrid video. One part trivia and one part a love letter to one of my favorite games. Without further ado, Jack Bros is an interesting title released on the Virtual Boy in 1995. It doesn't play anything like any other Megaten game ever. No, Puzzle Boy Synchronicity Prologue and Shin Megami Tensei Devil Children Puzzle Decall does not play like Jack Bros at all. The game is produced by Hiroyuki Yokoyama, the man who produced SMT 1 and 2 and executive produced Digital Devil Saga. Hiroyuki Yanada, one of the composers behind the Last Bible 1, 2, and 3 soundtracks, also worked on this game. Also worth noting, despite being a spin-off, it's the first Megaten title to come to the West. The game's story is that there's only 1 hour until midnight on Halloween, and the Jack Bros, Pyro, Frost, and Skeleton, aka Ripper, only have an hour to get back to the fairy realm, otherwise they will die. Because they are on a time crunch, they use a shortcut, and for this reason we have to stealthily fight our way through and get back in time. The game runs using a classic tenet of old games, which is you're expected to die a lot until you get the basic concept of the game and the basic format of the dungeons, and then you get used to all the hurdles they throw at you. You don't have HP in this game though. Instead, you have a timer that can be added to, which will continually tick down, and you'll lose chunks of that time depending on if you get hit. Each bro plays a little different, and they all have different special moves, which can be attained using a star you'll find throughout each stage, and there are 6 stages in the game. Progress is saved using passwords, and you can also unlock a hard mode, and here's how you do that. At the title screen, use the left control pad to press right 6 times, left 3 times, and then right 6 times again. And also, if you want to play as Pixie, you can use this code 4649 and confirm the selection of the numbers by holding left, right, select, and A all at the same time. Pixie offers you tips and tricks and acts as a guide in the game, and she's arguably the strongest character in the game. If you play as Pixie, you also don't get Pixie as a guide for the game. So all tutorial elements will be removed when playing as Pixie. There's a few demons who feature in the game as enemies: Slime, Goblin, Nekomata, Choo-Choo Lane, Angel, Poltergeist, Elf, Cyclops, Itzamna, and Lich. Interestingly, Poltergeist isn't an enemy that attacks you, but will rather run away from you. And this results in a little bit of a game where you can try to trap it, to kill it, and when you do kill it, it gives you very useful items such as huge time boosts or invulnerability. While most demon names are the same, Choo-Choo Lane is changed to Furin, Lich is changed to Mystic Morgan, and Itzamna is changed to Skelepede. The art for the American package of Jack Bros is iconic and often considered hideous to dumb people, and frankly, I love it. I even made a statue I'm going to put on the screen right now of Jack Frost. This art was done by Augie Pagan, who did much art for Nintendo Power in the 90s and has worked on projects such as the Sly Cooper series, Plants vs. Zombies 2, and he now just kind of freelances. The original art piece is actually lost, and there's no scans made, so he doesn't have any high resolution scans of that image, however. If you're interested in buying a copy of the Western release, unfortunately the price for that game with box has reached more than $500. The art featured prominently on the cover and manual for the Japanese box is also used heavily in the fan magazine DDS Net. Funnily enough, although all the playable characters are considered fairies in the game, Jack Ripper is typically a foul race, meaning this is the only game where he's not considered foul. The game is beatable in an actual hour, which is hilariously cute, considering that the lore says you have an hour to get back to Fairyland. A first-time player might take as long as 3 hours to beat the game. The game has a slow ramp where initially it shows off basic mechanics and explains what each enemy does, and For example, Goblin drops bombs, Elves shoot arrows, and Chulane is only vulnerable from behind. The game also introduces new hazards meant to slow people who try to rush the stages and punish those who aren't careful. And what's fun to me is how cleverly these stages are designed. By the 6th stage, everything is hurled at you in a way that are fair but challenging. If you run out of time, you do have to start the game all over again from the start of that stage, which isn't a big deal early on, but by the 6th stage, there are many floors, and a death can be very discouraging. The game is a twin-stick shooter, but in tight corridors, which offers a completely different experience than a twin-stick such as Geometry Wars. And while lacking in lore, I find the gameplay to be simple enough to grasp immediately and fun enough to play through in an hour or so as it takes to beat the game. Many years later, Jack Bros got a sequel, Synchronicity Prologue. Psych! No, it got one before that called Jack's Quest, Demonic Help Party for the Atlas mobile service. Ditching the previous gameplay format, it still revolved around the Jack Bros, but whereas Ripper used a knife in Jack Bros, in Jack's Quest, he uses wind skills. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any images of that game at all, so let's just all use our imagination and imagine Jack Frost leading a mystery dungeon style game as it is described to be like. And that's it for the video. I tried to not be too personal of why I love the game so much. And I know it's a meme to say it's the best, but I genuinely think it's very well crafted and actually fun. It's one of the few Mega 10 games I'd recommend to anyone who just likes video games. Hopefully that quells any desire for a Jack Bros trivia, because frankly there's not too much and it was tough as nails to scrap even this much trivia to use. Make sure to like and subscribe and tell me things. I don't know, do you like Jack Bros too? Because if you do, you're cool with me. Let me know which bro you used, or maybe you used Pixie to beat the game. Because frankly, only the truest of the fans use Ripper to beat the game, because unlike Pyro and Jack Frost, you don't have that like distance. You have to get close, and almost every boss is very difficult to beat when you're constantly having to be as close as possible, because even just touching them will hurt, you know? Yeah. Bye, fellow Mega Tennists.